Dan, welcome back. Excited to have you
Yeah.
here. That was gold there, Michael Gabriel. I love that. There's different types of traffic, and we talked a little bit about this in the last show. We're going to do a deep dive on your business here and the things that we see, the recommendations that we'll make for you that'll help you out. There's three main types of traffic, and you can argue a fourth type of traffic. But the first traffic is the traffic that we own. It's our database. Our database is the data bank. It doesn't matter what business you're in. I don't care what you're in. The database is the most valuable tool. And Dan, let's start there a little bit. Like, talk to me about the database. Been doing this not forever and ever and ever. What does that look like, and what tools are you using?
Yeah, we keep track of really any customer touch, whether that be something that we flagged as we drove by, like, hey, that's a home. Looks like it needs some type of service, gutters, roofing, whatever it may be. We use some tools to help us flag that really quick and save the address as a potential prospect. We use something called Lead Scout, which, integrates your live location, where you are, and without like having to pull out a piece of paper, write down the address, and just to do it safely with your mounted phone on your truck. You push and hold at the house location as you're driving past it. It drops a pin. It's got the geo tag, it's got the address number. Later on, you can add more details in regard to what the lead would be, like roof replacement, gutter replacement, power washing. But yeah, like that's one of the tools we use just to like identify prospects. It's all recorded, links back to an Excel, so anything through Lead Scout. And then really any other customer interaction through like inbound phone calls, try to gather as much information as we can. Sold roofs, names, so much of a new business where we are in our life cycle, like the more the merrier, any kind of data, any kind of addresses, any kind of leads. Over the past few years, personally speaking to a ton of homeowners, I've kept track of that. I want to know where the ones that I've driven past and spotted, who have I sold. I keep all that linked in an Excel. It also mirrors over to a Google Maps for me. So I have like pinpoints throughout the state of homes that I've sold or proposed to. And it's nice as you're driving using Google Maps, if you can find a familiar, homeowner where you've talked to before and you can reference, that to me is a good thing. Obviously, like the email addresses is something that we will leverage and direct mail, whatever it may be. But yeah, right now
I I
it's
I love that, and we were talking before we started recording about a continuity program, a
mm,
monthly reoccurring revenue program, and that's something that when we build this database, we can let them know. Dan, you and I live in the frigid tundra of West Michigan right now. You live a little bit closer to my favorite lake, and so you're getting even more lake effect than
yeah.
I am, but there's a ton of snow right now, so you're not putting new roofs on, so that begs the question. Like, I have a roofing business. How am I making money in the winter? Well, reoccurring revenue is one of the best ways to do that because as we were talking about, there's ice dams, there's repairs that need to be made. There's different things that
Mm.
we can do to keep our crews fed through the winter months.
Absolutely. And as a new business, we are in a good position. Like agility is what we have right now. That choice of like being skilled laborers trained in a lot of different types of trades. Like we take on non-roofing business throughout these winter months. However, reoccurring revenue is that beautiful thing that keeps paying your bills, paying for all the third party services that we leverage for tools, and certainly helps us in the long run, that continually grows and grows.
So you're
Yeah.
using let me ask you this, so you're using an Excel sheet to kinda keep track of everything. Have you done any outreach in a way to that database? Like, so if you have, 10, 100, 1,000 emails, whatever it is, right? Are you sending out like a touch point regularly?
Yeah, we have a bit of a campaign plan for that. I mean, we've gone back and forth internally. Okay, how soon do we do this? As we've ramped up and kind of positioned ourselves to scale of demand. Let's say Dan writes like the perfect email to send out all these prospects, and you know 100 of them call. Great. Also, is a new business, it's a scary thing. What are you getting yourself into? So, the timing of where we are scaling to plan, making sure all of our crews, there's a bit of a prerequisite of vouching for a crew that is going to do good work. And so, like, I meet with every crew leader. I take their insurance. I take out their W-9. Like, we sit down and verify other addresses they've completed work at. And so, yeah, like, we're doing that right now. I won't have to do that again with some of these guys. But so with that established, my email campaign and direct mail campaign kind of tied up to April, May, is most homeowners in Michigan have thawed out from a terrible winter. They are kind of in a more like that spring cleanup type mindset. Like, hey, what are we doing at the house this summer? And that to me, rather than send it when everything's frozen, that's where we would be April, May.
Yeah, so I think I think value-based emails are very strong because they establish you as an expert. It helps you build trust, and I guess it doesn't always have to be a prospecting email. You said something about spring cleanup, so I don't know if that is the subject of your email or if that's where you're going, or if you just threw that out as a term. But I think even now, if you can say, "Hey, look, to if you have a roof, or here are some tips to do in the wintertime so that you are prepared for whatever, or these are the things to help you save your roof during the winter, if it's the ice dams or if it's, paying attention to this, that, whatever that looks like." I think even those type of emails right now to get people warmed up to seeing your stuff. Again, just allow it doesn't have to always be like, call me today, right? It's more
For
like, hey,
sure.
look, let me tell you some of the things that you need to be looking for after this whole storm thaws, like
I
this,
think
this,
to
and
your
that.
point, Michael, is like that email can go out, but you could also say, and if you don't want to do it, here's Coastline for you. Like we can do that for you, right? Like here,
Right.
those pucks that you throw up on the roof to help break up those ice dams or stop them from coming. Is that something that maybe they get a box of those because they're part of the subscription at the beginning of the year? And so I don't have to go to Family Farm and Home, which usually has them, but they're all gone because everybody's freezing to death,
Yeah,
right? And so like that would be convenient, and it's
for
just another
sure.
way to stay top of mind. I do want to take a step back because I want to jump into the Google Business Profile, but one of the things you said was Lead Scout. Now, I'm not familiar with Lead Scout, but I am familiar with a lot of those programs that are like that. And the neat thing, if you're a contractor that does things on the outside, so kind of like Dan, like certainly the roof, a bad roof is easy to spot a million miles away, right? It's very
Yep.
easy. But like the siding, windows, that kind of thing. These apps are phenomenal for identifying your target person, where you just take a different way home every day, or you're going to church, take a different way to church, and they'll map actually every single road you've been on, and you're just slowly going. The one that I was using for my business, I would have my app open. It's marking the roads I've been on, so I could see where I've been and where I have yet to go, and then I would see the house, and I could click a button, just like Dan said. It would pull up that house. I could click another button. It would basically pull that homeowner's information. Here's their name from the tax records. Here's when they bought it. Here's the best emails we found for it. Here's the cell phone. And it costs a little bit of money to do what's called a skip trace. But then it'd pull all that information. And then with another button, I could say start mailers. And so immediately, like if I'm Dan, like, and I have this kind of an app, like I hit that, they get a postcard. 20% off roofs, or maybe like we have 0% financing, whatever that looks like. And so it's a phenomenal way to build your business. And now you got these people into your database, and you can nurture them.
Yeah. And those tools, I think for anyone who, even if you're in B2B sales, like to know where you're going and who you've touched and to not record it, you're leaving a future. You can automate that touch point and pull something from that later. And so, yeah, for us, I'd say like a little more manual to flip it over at this point, like to take the addresses and do a direct mailer, do a direct email campaign. However, like we know where the good ones are. I would say like the way that we go about our business right now anyway is we're intentional. We know these pockets of homes because we live here, and there's a point of reference of with our employees like, hey, we live nearby you, and that's part of this pocket that we prospect in. And I think unique to where we are in our life cycle now, and I completely agree, to have something for 10 different salespeople that automates the data that they that they're out there, and we're able to send out direct mailers, whatever option that it may be, direct email or something physical, paper mailed to them. They're great tools to use. I don't know how else you could achieve touch points without taking action on it.
Well, they do say like every before someone, makes a decision to work with you, it's like I feel like I've heard 7, I've heard 8, I feel like I've heard 11, right? 11 different touch points. What does that look like? Phone call, email, mailer, social media, whatever that looks like. So it's going to take as you build up your business, as you're looking to grow, like understanding that piece of it. Because yeah, if you send out an email and you mentioned like if you had 100 phone calls come in, one, that would be beautiful, right? It's like, why don't I do that every day? And you could fit that's a good problem to have. But realistically, we know like, all right, from our metrics when we're running campaigns like that, it's like, all right, well, we're gonna get a 20% open rate, right? So that's
Mhm.
80% of them are not even gonna open it. Then, we're gonna probably have a 6% click-through rate. So that's sending them to the website. And then out of that, you're probably getting another 10% that actually take action. So at the end of the day, it comes down to like a conversion of like 1 to 3%
Mhm.
total that you even hear from. So that's all also like to keep in mind too. It's definitely a numbers game at the end of the day. It's all about
Yeah.
data for us. So the
Yep.
more touch points you can have, the sooner you can have them. We talked to someone earlier where it was like, "Hey, look, yeah, this is what you want to do. You want to start that momentum now because come spring, it's like you might be starting behind, and all these other people are ahead of you. And if you can build the momentum now, by the springtime, you're going to be rolling."
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And
And
go
oh,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say like part of the intent of how we approach. I mean, and I think in our last call we talked about like the reluctancy to hear no or like leave me alone, and that's
Right.
okay. The intent of making your face arrive at their front door comes with a responsibility to at least pass along, yeah, something that is worthwhile for the customer just to open the door, say hello, leave an impression. We get a couple unique things that we do for that, and um, tied to gift cards at local businesses that like everyone in our area in West Michigan knows. Whether that's a $5 or a $10 or whatever it may be, it's like, hey, thanks for opening the door. I live around here. This is a place I take my kids all the time. It's a little thank you for talking to me. In the meantime, like we're here, whether you need a service now or later, if you have family, if you rent houses, whatever. And, at least it's like a thank you for,
I
for,
love that. We called
yeah.
those pop buys, right? We pop by with
Mhm.
a little something in our hand, and part of the database too, Dan. I don't know if you've considered this, but like building what's called your Dream 100. This is a idea pioneered by Chet Holmes, who wrote the book The Ultimate Sales Machine. But thinking about your Dream 100 in your world, if you're looking for roofs, like one of the guys that might be the best would be an insurance guy. Right, hail comes through. He's the local insurance guy. Roofs got totaled. Dan's the man, right? And so I built that relationship with him so you get all that business. But like, who are those other people out there? Certainly other contractors that don't handle roofs or don't want to specialize in it. We just got off a show with a guy that all he does is decks. All he does is decks. But if he gets there and the roof's bad and you have a relationship with him, that's someone that can refer you, right? And that's the
Yeah.
power of the database. Let's let's take a step back. I want you to dream big here with this. I know we're new, but this is one of the favorite things that I do in businesses, and then it'll help shape our conversation. Where do you wanna take Coastline in the next 3 years? Knowing that you could be wherever you wanna be in 3 years, where do you how big do you wanna build this? What is the perfect company look like to you?
It's a good question. I think it's something I consider daily. It's so easy to get bogged down on like what's happening now or wintertime, like what's not happening now. However, yeah, like we have some long term goals in a year, 3 years, 5 years. We talked about 10 years as well. Like growth is one of those things that is phenomenal for a lot of reasons. I do know that I want to be large, but I also don't want to grow at a rate where like I have to then employ these subcontractors that don't meet our standards as far as like Yeah, we got to watch them closely.
Think some
It's
people, they don't grow because
yeah,
they're scared about that, because my name's on the line. More importantly, I do truly care about my client, my customer,
right,
right? I
right.
I do care. And yes, it's my reputation, and so I don't want to do that. But my magic wand is magical, Dan. So like we only
Yeah,
have like the best of the best contractors. We got the best of the best salesmen. Are they going to mess up? Absolutely. Are they going to
yeah,
make it right?
mm,
Absolutely.
for
Absolutely.
sure.
So like given that, how big do you take Coastline?
You know, I love the mark of 20 million in
Okay.
annual revenue, and to me, there's some things that come along with it. As far as facilities,
All the
training,
things.
in-house training, and I think so much of that growth is tied to my willingness to be uncomfortable in the change, and then my commitment. So when we have someone with potential to come in and take over some of the responsibilities I have, or a project manager who's really stretched thin. Like, we got to arm that employee with all of the tools and resources so they can become autonomous in what they're doing every day. And that also, to me, is what makes my perspective unique in this. I want those types of employees who see the growth in 3, 5, 10 years. And I have a great appreciation for skilled laborers and anyone who works in the trade, who starts the truck in the dark, rolls out of their house before their kids are out to school. They work hard all summer, and you see a little less of your family that time of the year. But to me, like, that personal commitment is something like I have a great respect for. I am along there in the trenches with them, and I know we'll find those people at some point in
You're
time.
talking about
Yeah.
culture, right? Like this is
Yeah.
critical because having
Mhm.
built the business, and I was talking to Michael about this earlier. In the beginning, it was growth for the sake of growth, and yes, I did care deeply about my clients, but I didn't understand that not everyone else does. And so, it
Yeah.
was basically the fog test. You can breathe on the mirror, fog the mirror. Welcome aboard. Let's go. We're gonna see how big we can build this thing. And it was
Yeah.
just Dan. It was a horrible environment. I was surrounded by people I didn't like. We all wanted to make money, but like that's an aspect of it. But I wanted to take care of people. I want to have a great name. I want to do
Yeah.
right by people because I know there's somebody upstairs that's also watching me, and I'm accountable to him as well. And so
Right.
it's a big deal to me. Let's jump back to this goal though. The 20 million. What would you say the average cost on a roof is right now? Because I want to get into some of the math and reverse engineer this a little bit.
Yeah.
When I say cost to the owner of the roof, like not your cost.
I think in general, the average residential home, I think a safe number to say is anywhere 15,000. I think is
Okay.
a very safe number considering
Say
that
1,000. So you know how many roofs in a year that is, Dan?
to hit 20 million. What is that? 800? How
My
many?
math came to a little bit more, and I couldn't have done that math in my head either. I
Like
went to public
3,000?
school. Don't judge me.
Yeah. No, I know calculator on me. You're right.
33.
Yeah.
130. That's what the fun thing about thinking big is like, oh my goodness, there's a book that it's called 10x is easier than 2x. And I got to meet the author, and we've become friends. Doubling where you're at from last year. It's simple but not easy, but like going from that to 20 million is almost easier than just doubling your business. And what do I mean by that? Well, if we're going to double your business, and what did we do ish about last year in terms of volume?
About a million as
Okay.
far as the
Brand
rev,
new,
and I
awesome, and
kind of
by the
consider
way,
it like
great
half
job.
half a year, foot in the door, half a
Right,
year.
amazing, amazing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
call it 2,000,000 if you started at the beginning of the year,
Mhm.
but so
Yep.
even go from like 2,000,000 to 4,000,000. Well, what do I do? Twice as many phone calls, twice as many estimates, twice as many, door knocks, twice as many whatever, versus going from 2,000,000 to 20,000,000, a 10x. Like I can't do twice as or 10 times as estimates. I can't do 10 times. I just don't
Right.
have enough time in the day. So it forces us to think differently. And from a business growth standpoint, the cool thing, like we talked about this too, is like you're in a group of other guys that are building, and gals. I just say guys in
Mhm.
general, that are building these businesses, and success leaves clues. And so they can tell you this thing worked well over here, this thing worked well over here. And even other roofers that are at 20 million, 50 million, 100 million, especially if they're out of the area, they love letting people go through their shop and talk and
Yeah,
shop. And
yeah,
so we can scale a lot quicker with intentionality. If the number is 1,333. When you look at your business, because knowing the math we can really understand what our actions have to be. How many estimates would you say you have to do in order to get the job?
Such as like a close percentage of,
If
yeah.
I gave you 10 people that like, I need a roof, I'm replacing the roof, I'm either doing
Mhm.
financing, I got cash, whatever. I gave you 10 at bats. How many of those 10 do you think you'd take?
Uh, I've kept a tally on that coming from a corporate
Nice.
background. Yeah, I mean, in person, if I meet a homeowner in person, I average, just over 6 out of every 10. And
Great.
I've always considered like budget or, no for now. No, of the true 7 or 8 that I think really do it, I shoot a great percentage. And I think that's not really my measure for guys who I expect to go out and do this every day. I mean, it's different when not everyone has that like background, that ability to connect the knowledge about the roof. Like I can do a lot of things and I'm willing to coach and teach and all that. However, like happy to do 3 out of every 10 for our salespeople. And I think to close that gap and improve our efficiency, why did you lose it? I mean, anytime I've lost a roof, I figure out why.
Yeah. Oh my
I
gosh, great.
earn enough respect with the homeowner to at least explain, like, hey, tell me what it was. Is
Love
that
it.
something I could have improved on price wise or something else?
We
I,
don't lose, said
Mhm.
another way. We either win or we learn, and we're gonna get
Yeah.
better. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I was always excited, yeah, like, when I would lose a deal, like, and someone else got it. Like, it was attainable. Now I gotta figure out what's
Yeah.
the gap? Like, what do I have to
Mhm.
fix? What do I have to say? What, more rapport do I have to build? I'm gonna take that 60% metric because that's a pretty good metric. If we look at industry standards, if you're cooking with gas, that's a pretty good number, and you can get it higher, and I know other places that do have higher, but if we're saying 1,333 roofs and you're taking 60% of the estimates that you do, that's 2,222 estimates that you need over the course of a year to hit our metric. Now, how many leads? And talk to us a little bit because we talked about this before. Where are we getting our leads from right now?
Yeah, it's like I said, and I was speaking with a roofer yesterday about this. Like part of what it is to run any business, but certainly a service-based construction business, it's like this question you're afraid to ask others. Hey man, where do you get your leads from? How are you going about that? And we've tried different lanes. Other roofers I've talked to, construction business owners I've talked to, like everyone's kind of dipping their toes in certain lanes and
I got the exact answer that
Mhm.
I think you've been looking for, and I'm gonna show you that in a second. I'm curious though, Dan, like right now, where's the majority of Coastline's business coming from?
It's coming from me grinding, connecting with people, connecting with builders, general maintenance and alteration contractors, avenues of Facebook. We do a little bit on Google. We've uh, described on our last call, had marginal success with Angie Home Advisor due to the investment. The partnerships that we're building with local chamber of commerce, we're excited about that and really doing everything we can to brand and to know that we are relevant to others in the construction space. And I want to, we are all salivating on like, what's a better way to do this that's cost
I'm hearing a lot
effective?
of toe to toe, belly to
Yeah.
belly,
Hmm.
handshake to handshake. You're out grinding. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's say you're at the Chamber of Commerce or whatever. How many of those like, yeah, my buddy needs a roof. Here's his phone number, or I need a roof. How many of those leads do you think you need to be able to get to the estimate phase? Maybe we're doing some fuzzy math. Maybe we're not tracking that, but like fuzzy math is my favorite math. And then tracking the numbers is the lifeblood of the business. If we're going to take this serious, we need to track that. So how many of those leads do you need to get to the appointment or estimate phase?
I'd say where it exists now is if it's a lead and somebody's giving us the info, we're getting a number to them. There's some type of estimate. That conversion of, leveraging, hey, I got your name from so and so, heard you're interested in these services, take it for budget. I did a few in November where I said, hey, we're not going to do this project and try to get it in at the end of the year, budget for it for next year. At least let me come out. You'll know what the number will be. It's not going to change when you call me in April or May. And yeah, I mean, do whatever we can to make that impression so they take an estimate. And I think I convert all those now. That would be,
Love it.
you
I
know,
love it.
However,
The owner is always the most lethal when it comes to getting the appointment,
yeah,
doing the estimate, taking care of the
obvious,
people.
yeah,
Now, the problem is when we,
mm,
if we're gonna
the
do
scale, exactly,
1,300 roofs, we can't have all of the owners be there. Like you're not gonna have the time. So
total,
we have to
yep.
bring that leverage in. So I'm gonna say, even though you told me 100%, I'm gonna say 80%. So
I
we're gonna
think
be able to
that's fair.
convert
Mm,
80% of these leads into an appointment, into an estimate, right? And so we're not taking all those, but 80%. And like knowing that your percentages, just like when I run my business, I am lethal. You send me on 10 or give me 10 leads, I'm closing 10, right?
yeah,
But like
yeah,
as we
mm,
grow the business, it's not as good. So that means if I reverse engineer the math with my handy dandy calculator, we need a total of 2,700 leads. Now I'm going to divide that by 12 just so it's a little bit more bite size. So if that means per month, it's 231 leads, which is still pretty big. Let's actually break it down even farther. I'm going to break it down instead of the month. We're just going to go by the week. So 277 divided by 52. That is 53 leads a week. Estimate wise, 2,222 divided by 52. That's 42 estimates in a week. As you can see, you don't have
mhm,
time as a single guy, doing the estimates to do that. So we would absolutely need the leverage here. And then finally, 1,333. How many roofs are we putting on in a week? 6,
yeah,
which is awesome. And here's the fun thing is that this trail has been blazed. There are absolutely companies out there. And,
yeah,
and
and I think and and the numbers, they're great to know and to identify. This is the way we need to think. These are the gears that turn and make you wiggle and feel like, oh man, how could I pull that off?
if your
Yeah.
goal doesn't make you nervous or a little bit queasy, it's not
Yeah,
big enough. It's
exactly.
not big enough. And like
You know,
this is the part of business, like, yeah, making money is good. You know what? Because then I can give to the community. I can help the homeless in this freezing weather. I can go on fun vacations with my family. Yeah, the money's good. The
mhm,
fun though for me when it comes to business is like, how big can we build this? And like what's the impact I can have on my employees and in my community, right? And so this big thinking, I think you can tell, fires me up. So let's start with the leads and let's jump into it a little bit. And Michael, I've been kind of monopolizing this call, but let's take a first look here at the website here. So roofcoastline.com, love it. I'm going to tell you right now, from a Google standpoint, the fact that you got roof in that name absolutely helps us out. That is a
yeah.
great job on this. So Coastline Roofing and Exteriors. This right here absolutely helps us out with Google. Michael, what else are you seeing on this first page here?
All right, so he has his phone number at the top, so that's good. Maybe it's a little small. Maybe I would put it in with the menu bar just so it doesn't hide and people can see like it's right there. So I would maybe shift that down. The
And
next
let me
thing,
pause you real quick, Michael, because
uh,
like, he's not just making this stuff up. How do we know this? Michael puts a tracking software, which Dan, it doesn't cost anything to do this. A tracking software on the site, and so Michael analyzes this. When traffic comes there, they're trying to reach out to you. Are they having an easy time finding the phone number? If they're a lot of them are going to be on the mobile site. So this is what the mobile site looks like, right? And so the phone number is a little bit more apparent there. This is what the website looks like. But more importantly, the software that Michael uses, he can actually see them move on the website.
but it's
That's cool.
interesting when you put on the mobile site, like that black bar kind of like, and maybe it's different on other people's phones, but it like goes with the top, which so it's almost like camouflaged in there. You're wondering if that phone number is attached to, the Wi-Fi or the time, and it's kind of like, it's a little confusing. If anything, and one, I love your colors. I think it looks great. But it's like you want something to kind of contrast. That's what we're looking for. Contrast,
We want
make
them
it.
to take action.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
want them to get a hold of you.
Mhm.
And the most important piece of the website is the hero image because most of the time people don't even get past that part of it.
Right.
So there are some additional things you can do. And again, I love the way it's designed. Like at the core of what I do is I'm a designer. That's what I got
Mhm.
my degree in. But there are some things that we can do right away to make them feel trusted, to make you look like an expert, or make you give you that social proof. And at the very top, let's punch it back to the top. Your reviews, right? Is there somewhere you can put on the top hero
Critical.
section underneath? Maybe learn
Yeah.
more is like hey,
Which we
five
have.
star, yeah,
Mhm.
five star reviews, or again, trying to give them a peace of mind where it doesn't feel like they're going to get like free consultation today or, financing available. Just to put them at ease of going into this purchase because we all know it's a pretty big purchase. But I would
Yeah.
definitely put your Google reviews on there. That way people can be like, "Oh, okay, you only have 11 so you want to sprint to like what is it, 50 or 20 and then kind
Mhm.
of jog to 100." But the more reviews, of course, the more social proof you get. And if you can have that in the top section, that'll actually give uh,
That widget and Dan, we can actually help you with this and get that widget on there where you can start tracking the numbers on there because we need 53 leads a week. So how many people do we have coming to the website? How many people can we get to raise their hand? A pro tip, free 90 free that I'm giving you. It's great to have, call for your free estimate or, whatever it is. The thing that is slaying in the industry right now in the home services industries is a free estimate that's instant. And there's AI software out there
Seen
that is
that.
really cheap
Yeah.
that can actually
Mhm.
zoom in on their house with Google Maps and Bing, Bing's flown their airplanes all over. And so it can give a rough, quick and dirty idea of what the cost of the roof will be. And you can put the parameters in there like, all right, well, plus or minus whatever based on, we're in Michigan versus, Colorado where they replace the roofs every like 5 years because of the hail that they have out
Mhm.
there. And so you can tweak that. But what I'm saying is that just like the numbers that we backed into that 20 million, like how many people are coming to the website, how many people are raising their hands are, and what are the different levers that we can pull to get them to raise their hand? I want to jump over because I want to be
one last thing I would do
yes.
to the hero image. You have a video behind there, but I would do coastline images of top of roofs, right? So people
Okay.
know exactly like this is what you do. It does have the roofing in there, which is important, but I think if you had images that reflect kind of more of exactly what you do, and it could be
Yep.
very subtle, like you can have these beautiful images, but it'd be like houses on the coastline of the
Right.
top of their
Right.
house. That's
Yeah.
And
That's
you'd be
great.
amazed at how I hate to say the word, but I'm gonna say it. How dumb people are when they come to a website. Like if it's not hit me in the face obvious, like
Yeah.
this is, they'll back out. The bounce rate will back out, and then Google watches that. And if our bounce rate, if someone lands on your site and they don't hang out for like about a minute and a half, they bounce back out. Google will send less traffic to it. If we can get them to stay on here, especially if we had an estimator on that, and maybe you showed some cool. Here are some of the roofs that we did, or you don't even have to do that. Like here are some cool roofs on Lake Michigan and they hang out there for a while, Google's going to reward you with more traffic. And this is the so we talked about the traffic that you own your database. This is traffic that we earn. I want to jump over into your Google business profile right now. Some of the things like this is another great way. If I'm starting out a business and I have more time than I have money, this is one of the main things I'm going to look at. We don't have a category right now. And so we gotta edit this, and I'm more than happy to do that with you, Dan, for free. I love the first thing that I'm gonna say that's really good: coastline roofing and exteriors. This is a major thing to have in there because when I search for roofer near me or emergency repair roof or ice dam on my roof, this is a thing that's gonna push traffic your way. However, the category finder right now, it's not popping up here. And so if I look at how we're ranking right now, this grid is right around Holland, or the area that we're in, we're not in the top 20 for
Mhm.
like roof company near me. If I take a look at like some of these other terms, like roof repair, you guys are doing decent. Like you're dangerous. And actually over here, you're in the top three, what we call the local pack. And so like some
Mhm.
of the stuff that we're doing is paying dividends. What I want to see though is a sea of green. Because I always say the best place to hide a dead body is result number 4 or page number 2 on Google. Because no one, if I like my furnace went out and it's freezing, best HVAC guy near me, the top 3, I'm calling the first one. If he doesn't answer the phone, I'm calling the second one. And
Yeah.
probably that guy's going to answer. I'm not going to go to number 4. And so the fact that you're here, which is a fairly affluent part of the state, I will say that's a very nice area, is really good here. However, we can take, again, success leaves clues. If I look at some of our competitors here, if we go back to, let's do roofers near me. So this is going to be a good one. Again, like you're ranking north of Macatawa, you're a player. Like you're in the running. Like, and even the fact that we got some of these other numbers, like we can strike. And then like this is once we have this ranking, you're getting free traffic from Google, free phone calls here. So Sharp Roofing here, if we take a look at these guys, they're absolutely owning Holland. You can see
Yep.
they have 569 reviews. versus R11, which I'm going to tell you, back in the day mattered a lot. That does not mean you have to get to 569. What Google is looking for now is not slow, consistent reviews. If we
Right.
got a review from every roof that we did, from every, subcontractor that we work with that likes the way you work, and we did one a week, you're going to be very dangerous.
I've seen that, uh, as we've tried to evaluate how do we rise up and become more relevant in these rankings, that's something we are getting to, we're working on. But you did say, Dan, you're a player on the north
You
side.
are.
I'm like, there we
Yeah.
go.
You're the striking distance. Like we can take these guys out.
Uh,
So I do want to point out. So we didn't have a primary category. You and I are going to fix that before we hang up. Roofing category is number one for Sharp Roofing. Let's take a look at some of these other guys here. So we got Lake Michigan Construction and Roofing Contractor. Success leaves clues. That's probably going to be the one that we pick.
yep.
And we're looking for the one that Google will give us. This one right here, funny enough, Horizon Roofing, they are ranking. This is the thing I'm talking about, Dan, because these guys,
That is the company that came to my mind when we talked about how many reviews and how because if that's where you're going with that, they're in that mix, not a ton of
right,
reviews. But
right.
even when you stretch this out to like the greater Grand Rapids metro area,
Yeah.
um, you got massive 1,000 review type companies in there, and then these smaller guys that are peppered in, and it's like, man, how do I do that? you know, how can I get to that?
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
that's what Michael and I do, and we'll set up your Google business profile for you. I do want to point something out. All right, so that'll get us so far, but like we're still $20 million in volume. I love that goal. I love it. We need 53 leads a week. So that tweaking that Google business profile, depending on if you made it from Muskegon to Holland to Grand Rapids, which, for the people that aren't from West Michigan that are listening, that's, I don't know, probably what, 50 miles by 50 miles by 50 miles, a triangle, if you imagine. I think that's pretty fair to say. If you owned the positions in all of those, you would probably get into a place where you're getting that kind of traffic, which is exciting because you're not paying for it. However, there is a cheat. And when I say a cheat, that's not the right way to say it. There is a hack, and it's called local services ads. And so with your business right here, it wouldn't let me put in the Holland zip code where headquarters is. So I just threw in my zip code 49534. For about $500 a month, I can get 10 leads. So that's about $55 a lead. Now, I don't care that it costs $55 a lead if my percentages stay true to what we just went after, right? And so if we
Right.
said, heck, I'm converting 80% of these leads, like I bet a Starbucks cup of coffee that you'd probably spend $500 a lead if we were converting 80%. Not that we would want to, but this is a great way. So if they're $55 to $83 a lead, this is a way I can bridge that gap. Now, the fun thing too about local services ads is I can pause those. If I get slammed, I can amp it up. As my Google business profile grows, my costs actually go down on this. And so this is a way that we can start getting very targeted traffic. The other thing that we do, and so now we're into traffic that we pay for, right? So we talked about traffic we own, traffic we earn. This is the traffic that we pay for. The other thing that Michael and I do so well is, there's two big platforms. Everyone knows about them that you want to be on, Google and Facebook. Now, in Google, Dan, we can go over specific terms or target specific terms like ice dam needing repair or new metal roof, solar roof, whatever it is, and we can target those things very specifically, which is great. With Facebook, the difference between us and normal people that are marketing for companies is we understand you're interrupting somebody on Facebook. On Facebook, they got the doom scroll, right? Like they're just watching all the cat videos and all the other stuff. And then if Coastline pops up on there, we have to interrupt them in an entertaining way or a way that we hook them. We get their attention, and we can absolutely do that. But what we found too, though, is if we put your database into the Facebook, that world, we can nurture your database. So like, gosh, Dan is freaking everywhere, even though maybe we only have 500 people we're targeting on Facebook, but to them, you're omnipresent. Michael, what
Yeah.
would you add to that?
I think the most other important part when you take a look at Google, right? So Google, people are leaning into the purchase. It's a higher intent lead, so it's a very more higher qualified lead. And on Google, when you're doing all the things correctly, right? So your local service ads, right? That's at the very top. You're verified. The next step is going to be, Google search, right? So people punching in the keywords. That's a like kind of another ad of what Zach is talking about, like specific
Okay.
keywords we're going after. And then after that is going to be your Google My Business, right? So where are you on the list? If you're doing all those things right, the true goal is how do I take up as much space on Google so that they're not going to the second page or the scrolling down, but how do I take as much space on Google so that no matter where they're going to click, if it's local service ads or the keywords or Google My Business, you're a part of one of those pieces, and
Yeah.
that's how you truly optimize that thing. And also on the Facebook side, if it's nurturing the database, but also saying, hey, people because we know this 8 touches, 11 touches, whatever that takes, people who visited my website, let's retarget them on Facebook with either a value based style ad
Mhm.
or like a video talking about what you do. And then on Facebook, it's so strategic. We can say, hey, this person watched 25% of my video, 50% of my video, 100% of my video, whatever that is. Then we put them in another bucket because now that's even a more warmer lead. And then now we're like totally going after them even harder
Yeah.
to get them to convert. So it's a whole getting to 20 million is not the hard part because all of those strategies will get you all the leads you need. I think when you get to that point, it's what infrastructure do you need to support it? So for me, right? So we have a group of people that work for us and we're like, all right, if we want to double this, we need another project manager. And then we'll need, this project manager can handle ten people. The media buyer, they can handle 20. Our graphic design person, they can handle 15 to 20. So every time we ramp up, we know all right, we need this person in place, we need that person in place, that person. And then it
Yeah.
allows us to kind of scale in a very logical way so that we know systems aren't going to break.
Yeah, there's got to be some kind of ratio of
Yeah.
revenue to employee headcount and to avoid dysfunction and that growth, which you're going to have. But yeah, it's exciting. It's been helpful to, especially the three avenues that you broke down, like the Google services into, and then Facebook is this separate bucket that I was speaking about yesterday with our team. How can we leverage that? And it's two different strategies. I didn't know within our database and our emails and these people that we know are out there that we would love to roof. I didn't know there was a link to tie the info that you have into Facebook and integrate that into your targets. So that is awesome. I appreciate that, Michael.
Yeah, they want it a certain way, of course. They want it in a CSV file. They want I mean, any type of information you can give that's on Facebook. So like first name, last name, email would be great. Phone number works. Sometimes you can get them by an address or a birthday, like any type of information. You load it, and it takes sometimes an hour, sometimes 24 hours, but it'll tell you like, hey, this group of people is we've collected 1,000 people. And then if you really want to get crazy, you can say, all right, these type of people, because Facebook knows everything we do, right? It's all over the place. You can say, find me the exact match. It's called a lookalike audience. Find me the exact match to these people, whether it's their behaviors, whether it's their income level, all these things. Find the like I call it my so it's like a twin. Find my twin and Facebook will go find your twin. It's like, hey, look, that group, that subset you gave me, this is the exact match of them. And there's another 20,000 of there. So it's pretty fun when we get into that type of stuff.
And it's the data that we leverage to make that growth. Like I'm not shaking hands with every one of these customers myself. I'm not blind to the idea that, like, without the right tools to automate generating leads and the investment that we out of the gate knew every month we got to spend X amount and within our budget to generate leads. How do we allocate that in the best way possible? Well, I can tell you how to not do it. We've learned ways to not do it well. And I think many service organizations, roofers, construction guys, HVAC, we're all in this place of like, man, who's doing this well? Who's educated on it? And what can we do to take that money we spend every month and spend it a lot better and be smarter
Right.
about it. And yeah, fortunately for us, like as I said earlier, being new creates this agility where we're not tied into bad repeatable patterns that are failing. Like I'm eager to try other things and figure out like what is going to be that rail for our train to take us onward. And yeah, happy to make switches and thank you for the recommendations here. It's awesome.
Well, it's funny because I don't know if this is how it is in the groups that you're in, but I was talking to a friend of mine, and he it's duck hunting season, right? And he met another guy who's hunting, and he was telling me the story. He's like, he's like, well, tell me where you're going tomorrow, and then he just smiled and was like, where are you going tomorrow? Like, they don't want to give the secret of where they are, right? So I don't
Yeah.
know if that's
Yeah.
like that, but sometimes what we find is that people do want to keep it to themselves, which is okay, that
Right.
they're
Right.
they're but we just told you the secret to get it. And
Yeah.
there's other ways to do it, of course, but that is like ABCs, get a local service ad, get your keywords going, and get your Google My Business there up. And all of that is either pay per click or, pay per lead.
Right. Right.
You're
Yeah,
only paying if
and
it's
I'm not afraid of like, you reference those groups I'm in, like this collective of roofers in the Midwest. Like we share this info and talk about it. It's awesome. Like I'll certainly on February's call be able to speak to this very well. And it's not necessarily like I'm afraid everyone's going to start doing it and then we're all competing. And the way I view it, like the guys who are able to afford this massive reach out, they're lacking on the quality side of executing for consumers, for people in the community I live, to see bad roofs go on or like go to a call on a leak for a brand new roof. Like
Right.
it's because the private equity size service business was able to use this data better than local honest guys like me. And then they're almost like, it's not that they're taking advantage of the consumers, but they didn't know otherwise. Like they couldn't find Coastline Roofing because shame on me, I didn't know how to reach them. But, what we want then, the end result is like people get better services, better roofs put on. Hopefully that's by me, but I would assume like other better quality guys could reach out. And that's the point of that group that I'm in. We're trying to make this raise the bar, the standard for roofers in general. And yeah, it's super helpful, guys.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you again for your time. We're gonna jump off the recording, and then Dan, you and I, if you can hang out for a while, we're gonna go into your Google Business Profile and make that even more dangerous for you.
That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah, thank you.
but I appreciate your time. So, Dan, for those of us in West Michigan, if they want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
You can find my website, I hope, but you can also call.
After we're done, absolutely, you'll be able to.
616 is the zip code fix 0745. And you can always call, you can text our estimates team, the team that puts together measurements, schedules appointments. That email is estimates@roofcoastline.com, website roofcoastline.com. And yeah, based here in Holland, and our team is throughout West Michigan, Greater Grand Rapids. And we're a great place, we're getting there and happy to serve those in our community.
Love it. All right, Dan,
All
thanks
right.
again.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.